Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we explore the political, social, and cultural stories shaping South Africa and beyond. Today, we are diving into a highly sensitive and deeply controversial development that has sparked heated debate across the country and internationally. We're talking about the recent protests in Pretoria, where hundreds of Afrikaners gathered outside the US Embassy to demand international recognition of a separate white nation. This protest has stirred the pot in a big way, reviving complex conversations around race, identity, nationalism, and South Africa's still unfolding post-apartheid journey. The demonstrators, many waving flags and holding placards calling for sovereignty, claim they are being increasingly marginalized in the current socio-political landscape. And they're asking for something seismic, their own homeland, separate from the South African state. Let's unpack what's going on, what this means for the country, and why this protest has raised red flags for many citizens and global observers alike. According to the organizers, the call for a separate Afrikaner state is rooted in cultural preservation, historical identity, and what they describe as a struggle for survival in modern-day South Africa. They argue that just as Jewish people established a homeland in Israel based on shared culture, language, and faith amid a hostile environment, Afrikaners, too, deserve a space where their heritage and way of life can be protected and celebrated. Protesters point to a variety of issues that they believe justify their call for independence, chief among them, land ownership disputes, affirmative action policies, crime, and what they frame as rising anti-white sentiment. They argue that their constitutional rights are being eroded under policies aimed at redressing historical injustices but that, in practice, now discriminate against them. Some have also cited concerns over farm attacks and economic exclusion, saying they feel unsafe, unheard, and unrepresented. In this sense, the protest was more than a political statement, it was a cry for recognition and protection from what they view as a hostile state. But this movement is controversial, to say the least. Many critics view the call for a white-only state as nothing more than a repackaging of apartheid-era thinking. They argue that while post-apartheid South Africa is far from perfect, the answer isn't to fragment the nation further but to confront our problems together, through shared struggle and mutual understanding. Let's be clear, South Africa is a nation with a painful history of racial division. The apartheid system entrenched white privilege at the expense of the black majority for nearly half a century. Millions were dispossessed, displaced, and denied basic human rights. The idea of creating a white ethno-state, even in 2025, evokes that legacy in ways that many South Africans find deeply offensive and dangerous. But to understand why this protest has happened now, we need to look deeper into the social and political dynamics at play. There is no denying that many South Africans, of all races, are frustrated with the current state of the country. Corruption, crime, unemployment, and failing infrastructure have left people feeling hopeless and angry. For some Afrikaners, this has translated into a sense of being under siege, not just economically, but culturally. But critics argue that this victim narrative ignores the power and privilege that still exists in certain white communities. They say it's an attempt to deflect from collective responsibility and to sidestep the hard work of reconciliation and nation-building. The symbolism of protesting outside the US Embassy was also deliberate. Protesters want international attention. They believe the global community, particularly Western governments, should support their right to self-determination. But international observers are treading cautiously. Many are wary of aligning with a movement that can so easily be associated with white nationalism, a global trend that has gained traction in recent years but which often leads to greater division, not unity. This brings us to a critical question: what does self-determination mean in a diverse, democratic society like South Africa? The Constitution does allow for cultural communities to organize and preserve their identity. However, secession is another matter entirely. There are no legal or political frameworks in place that would allow any racial or ethnic group to carve out a new country within South Africa's borders. Not only would it be practically impossible, but it also challenges the very ideals of unity and equality that the new South Africa was built upon. And yet, the protest has gained traction online. Social media has amplified the message, with both supporters and critics weighing in. Some sympathize with the Afrikaners' concerns, especially regarding farm safety and economic strain. Others see the movement as a dangerous regression, one that uses the language of victimhood to justify exclusion. The response from government officials has so far been muted, possibly to avoid escalating tensions. But silence won't make this conversation go away. If anything, this protest has shown just how fragile the social fabric of South Africa still is, even 3 decades after the end of apartheid. At the heart of this story is a question we all must face: how do we build a truly inclusive society that protects the rights of all citizens, without reinforcing the divisions of the past? Is the answer really to separate? To fragment? Or can we still strive toward a vision of shared prosperity, justice, and mutual respect? For South Africa to move forward, these issues can't be swept under the rug. We must have honest, difficult conversations about identity, security, and economic opportunity, without defaulting to the extremes of nationalism or separatism. This moment is about more than just one protest. It's about the future of our nation. Will we continue to allow fear, resentment, and division to drive the conversation, or can we choose dialogue, empathy, and real reform? We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this protest and the idea of a separate Afrikaner nation? Do you believe the grievances raised are valid? And what do you think South Africa needs to do to build a more united and fair society? Drop your opinions in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation, respectful, informed, and open-minded. And if you found this video informative, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more political and social analysis, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in. Stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, see you next time.